welcome back to the garden. Today is March 31st, last day of the month, and it's Friday. And you know what we do at my house on Fridays? We plant, and we're gonna plant some potatoes. But you gotta see this. Tragedy has struck. These potatoes had started to come up, and then we got a little frost on them, and I wanted to see if we had anything growing. We've got a couple little sprouts. But look at that. I want to see if we can't keep that one to grow. We put that castor oil down for the moles and voles in August. I guess you have to keep retreating. Here along the edge, looks like they found their way back into the garden. I'm going to go ahead and treat this whole area with castor oil, see if we can't get this batch growing. That's gardening. Sometimes you eat the bear and sometimes the bear eats you. And I told you on this story I'd show you the good with the bad. And today's pretty bad. Yeah. But there ought to be some fat little voles. I don't want to have to put out any poison. But at some point I might get medieval. So come on, let's go ahead and plant. I'm going to do this just a little different. Normally, we dig down or put a potato in, bury it, make trenches, put the potatoes down and bury it. I'm gonna pull all this mulch back so we can treat this ground, and then we'll bury it. Give me a few minutes. Well, it looked like there's 2 potatoes left in this whole patch. Well, this will be an experiment. We'll see how potatoes grow with castor oil. I'm putting this down kind of heavy. I don't want to lose this crop. We'll see. It is just castor oil, so it ought to break down just fine. I've not seen any molehills since we treated, but the moles don't eat the vegetables, they just eat the worms. I guess I'm going to have to treat around everything we plant going forward. We'll see what we get. This soil's so nice I don't want to walk on it, so we'll do a real roost stout. We're just going to kind of throw this stuff out there. Got some Pontiac Reds here. Wherever they land is where they land. Then we got some Kennebecks and some Yukon Golds. There's 1 or 2 of these little purples that made it. Looks like. And like roost out, we just cover them back up. That was disappointing. Let's go on in the greenhouse, see what we got going on there. Let's see, after all of that, got a little volunteer squash or gourd or something coming up. It's probably a little too early for this one, but we'll go ahead and make sure we cover them if it gets cold. See, but it looks like this line's coming up just fine. This is the one that popped up the other day and froze back. I'm going to give the rest of this a couple days before we go looking. But we definitely got potatoes coming up. So they didn't eat them all. My Uncle Jim's a comedian, and when he heard that we had 37,000 tomatoes, he didn't want them to be all by themselves in red, so he sent me some green ones. And if you're as old as I am, you'll remember this. Green Giant. Apologize for the singing. or Aunt Ruby's German Green. And both of these come from Baker Creek Seeds. So let's go ahead and see what we got. I would plant them in here, but as you can see, half of it's got amaranth coming up. Looks like a chia pet. And I can tell the other half's got peppers just about ready to come up. Obviously I put just a very light little layer of soil over these. These are planted just a little deeper. They're pretty proud of these. There aren't very many seeds, so I guess I'll be a little more careful. There really aren't very many seeds here. That's one side. Kind of cover those over a little bit. And we'll see about the green giant. There really aren't that many seeds here either. There's more. I'm going to save those. Yesterday afternoon I was going to come out here and do something, but it come a pouring rain. We got about a half an inch in about 10 minutes, and then it just rained off and on. Broke nice today, and then the winds started blowing. 78 degrees, 45-mile-an-hour winds. Can you believe it? Alright, so we sprinkled a little bit on top. Just gently water these so they stay in their cells. It's warm enough. I'm not going to cover these tonight. But check out some of the growth on some of these tomatoes. Being a mixed bag, I have no idea what's what. They seem to be coming along pretty good. Now, being at the last day of March puts us just 3 weeks out from the last frost date. Looking at the long-term forecast, they're expecting frost right at the end of that. So these tomatoes have a little time to get bigger. But those potatoes, organic, weed-free, no chemical, there's a trade-off. It's not my garden, I just tend it. If a plant pops up, that's where God wants it, that's where it's gonna be. If he needs to feed some critters for a little while, that's okay too. I really don't want to kill anything, but there's nothing saying you can't discourage everything that's going to come in here and compete with you. I probably should have had some more of that castor oil out earlier. I never would have thought they would have come in and ate a whole patch of potatoes before they sprouted. Oh well, that's gardening. But you can do this too. Get a container, fill it with soil, put a seed in it, put it on your windowsill, and guarantee you won't have to worry about voles getting after it. If you want to see more about the deep mulch, click that link right there and I'll meet you back in the garden. If you want to see what you can actually grow in the deep mulch, click that link right there and I'll meet you back in the garden. And until next time, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and God bless you. Come on, let's plant.
Let's go plant garden.